What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNV Driver's Edition. And today, I got another interesting conversation for you. If you saw, I dropped a video earlier in the week, is it the right time to buy a C7 Z06? And in that video, I touched upon the actual truth about the C8 marketplace right now. And I asked if you wanted me to go into it. Drop me some comments below or reach out to me on one of my social media platforms. And I got several interests in that video. So today, let's talk about the truth about the C8 Z06 market. Okay, before we dive deep into this conversation, let's get past the formalities. My name is Sho, and this is ICNV Driver's Edition. It's an interactive car community for car enthusiasts or just true car lovers, where we talk about interesting conversations about cars, do some messing around, and we have fun. But that interactive part comes along with the fact if you reach out to me on any one of my social media platforms or drop a comment below in any one of my videos, I will do my best to respond. And if it's interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it. So let's get into this part because this conversation came from one of those reach outs. I talked about, is it the right time to buy a C7 Z06 earlier? And in that, I touched on the C8 Z06 just a little bit because I feel like the C8 Z06 affects the C7 Z06 market. But that's not the purpose of this video. So the truth about the C8 Z06 market is, it's not really based upon the car. What do I mean by that? So when we talk about the C8 Z06 marketplace, the biggest problem we come upon now is people are trying to say that the value of the C8 Z06 has gone down. And honestly, I do not agree. And the reason why I don't agree, because I look at it from this point of view. I was offered a C8 Z06 2023 anniversary edition for $142,000 MSRP with a $35,000 over MSRP markup, which I was not going to take, and the actual car note would have came out to $23,414, which to me is crazy. But my point in going to that today is, if you can buy the same car today, minus the anniversary edition, but you can build a 3LZ C8 Z06 for $142,000, pay $10,000 over MSRP, $15,000 over MSRP, and then with the current interest rates being at 9, 11%, because they are sky high, and you walk away with a $2,300 monthly payment, and people are actually taking this. To me, the car hasn't lost value. What's actually taking place is the interest rates is eating up the same money that used to be the market adjustment. So if you're willing to pay $2,300 with a $25,000 or $35,000 or $40,000 markup, because that's been the case for some people, and then you're willing to pay the same amount of money for MSRP, or let's just be real, a $5,000 to $10,000 markup, the car hasn't lost value because people are paying the same amount of money. Let me say that to you again. The car has not lost value because the same money is being spent. The allocation is just different. And I think that's the problem, and that's the blind side where they say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Well, the numbers are being manipulated to make you think or to promote that the marketplace or the market value for the C8 Z06 has gone down. Well, actually it hasn't. But let's dive deeper into this. I have to go back to a quote from The Dark Knight. And maybe I'm not quoting it exactly right, but I'm sure you remember this reference. Some men don't care about logic. It's not about being logical. They just want to see the world burn. And I think that's what's happening with the C8 Z06 marketplace. And the biggest issue is there are people out there manipulating the numbers or manipulating the public to make them believe that they can actually buy a C8 Z06 for MSRP. And actually it's quite genius, but it's false. And the reason why I sit there and say that is, let's get this clear. There were over 3,000 Chevy dealerships before the year 2020. Not every Chevy dealership gets an allocation for a Corvette, let alone a C8 Z06. But out those 3,000 dealerships, which I know the numbers is less than that now, did some quick research, and it's technically right around 2,900 dealers as of today. So we've lost some along the way since 2020. But with that being said, out the 2,900 dealerships that exist today, not every dealership is selling a market adjustment or over MSRP, just to be more clarified. But what happens is the large majority are. So yes, I would never tell you cannot buy a C8 Z06 for MSRP, because there are several dealers out there that's actually selling them for MSRP. But the problem is the chance of you getting an allocation for one is almost slim to none this late in the game. You can shop around and you may come close, whereas you may spend $5,000 or $10,000 over MSRP for a car. Or let's dig deeper into that.
I think this is the perfect time to take a quick break. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Drive Edition community. This is an interactive community, so if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms, I will do my best to respond to you, and I may make a video based off the topic you bring up. So become a member, subscribe to the channel. For all my military members, both active and veterans, I'd like to give you guys a big salute, because we know freedom isn't free, and because of you guys, it's the reason we get to enjoy the things we enjoy and do what we do today. So again, salute to all my military family members, active members, and veterans. But let's get back to this video.
So what has actually been taking place is a lot of dealers will tell you you can buy a car at MSRP, but when you go to actually close out the deal, what happens is they charge you some extra dealer fees, some like a Corvette prep fee, or another example would be like Bob Watson's service application fee, where they put nitrogen in your tires, give you free car washes, the first oil change for free, which that already comes with GM, things of that nature, and it's an extra fee added on top of the car. And then they tell you have to take a wheel and tire package, or they throw in the wheel and tire package with the Bob Watson fee, and then they tell you you have to take an extended warranty contract, and all of these things have a even higher cost added to them. So overall, you may buy the car on the top line at MSRP, but you're still getting bumped up somewhere another 5 to 10 grand in extra costs from all these packages they're forcing upon you. That is the most common. But I want you to understand that is still paying over MSRP. A lot of people holler, oh, I bought the car for MSRP, but they do not want to acknowledge the fact that they had to pay for forced and inflated prices on packages they had to buy. And I say again, they had to buy to purchase the car. Now that we got that part out the way, there are other ways that dealerships are manipulating the system. Well, one of my favorite ones is I saw a person say they were selling the car for MSRP. The car is now sold, but they reached out to the dealership and actually spoke to a sales, and they was like, yes, the car was sold for MSRP. Remember those things I just talked about? No dealership has the right to disclose what another person paid for a car. But if they're telling you that the car was sold as MSRP, which it was, they never tell you that the add-on packages was forced on. They never tell you that they had to take this, they had to take that. So keep that into mind, because a lot of times when I call dealerships and ask them, what's the bottom line I need to cut you a check for to take the car home today? And when they give you an out-the-door bill of sale, you start to see these prices are being inflated, or they come back and tell you, you have to take this, you have to take that. Now, the other way the market has really been screwed over for a lot of people, you almost can't buy a C8 Z06 without some form of market adjustment. The craziness of this is the Corvette C8 Z06 at one point in time was selling for 6 figures over MSRP. I've seen it advertised for as much as $200,000 over MSRP. I've seen it advertised for $125,000 over MSRP. The highest confirmed sale I know of was somebody actually paid $142,000 over MSRP, and I said that was crazy. But if you have the money and have the ability to do it, to each his own. Because typically when you come into a person with that type of money, they don't really care what they're paying for the price of the car. They just want the car. So with all of that being said, I never expected the car to retain that type of hype or that type of selling atmosphere for longer than 6 months. If you watched any of my videos on the Z06 and the crazy pricing, I've always stated that. What I've told people is I expected the Z06 to sell somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 over MSRP at least into 2026. I expected that to be the norm. Interest rates have kind of affected that pricing, but yet we still see it. The question I asked you guys a while back was, what's going to happen with all these people who committed to paying $30,000, $50,000 over MSRP for allocation? Well, they've been brought to the forefront now, and what we're hearing and seeing a lot on Facebook is that cars are coming in, they're trying to argue and say that value is no longer good for today, so they're being forced either to lose their car, or they're, in some cases, are being allowed to negotiate that over MSRP pricing, but it's still falling somewhere between $25,000 to $30,000, and some people have walked, which makes it interesting because if you walk on that allocation today and it comes up, should you pay over MSRP for a car? I feel like a lot of people are going to miss out because they're actually following the myth that you can go and buy a Corvette C06 at MSRP today at another dealership. Well, truthfully, you can, but it's not being stated to you in an honest manner. I've seen a post on Facebook where somebody said, oh, I went to the dealership, they had tons of Z06s on the lot. You can buy, they're all selling for MSRP, and you can buy one off the floor today for MSRP. And that was 100% true. But the information wasn't presented to you actually 100% correctly. And I'll explain. The dealership was Mac Mogan. And we all know in the Corvette community, Mac Mogan, Les Stanfield, and several other dealers have already agreed to sell their cars for MSRP. They also have a long list of customers waiting to buy these cars at MSRP. But what actually took place is every car that was on the floor was allocated for, except for maybe one or two. And you're asking, how does that take place? And I'll explain to you. One of the loopholes that actually takes place with dealers that have lists is they will go out and they will spec out a Corvette C806 to manage the amount of profit the dealership can make. And then what they do is they'll offer that car for sale to the people on their list until somebody agrees to buy it. And if nobody agrees to buy it, they will then sell the car to the public. So when they say, yes, we have cars with no allocations available for sale for MSRP, it's a truthful statement, but you can't walk in the door and get it. Now, don't get me wrong. I went through a similar situation with a dealership in North Carolina. I was number 17 on their allocation list. They had 3 allocations come in. The dealership took one and spec'd out a anniversary edition, white diamond, pearl white, Corvette C806. And the MSRP for the car was $146,000. It was an HTC. Now, just so you can understand, I was at the dealership when the car came in, and they sat up and said, we're going to offer this car for sale. I was like, I will pay you over MSRP for the car. And they told me no. The owner sat there and said, I built the car because I wanted to see it in person. My plan was always to sell it to somebody on the list. So what he did was he offered the car for sale to the third person on the list who had not placed the order for a C806, and he continued to move up the list until somebody bought the car at MSRP. Well, unfortunately, because the car was so highly priced and many people were not looking to spend that on a C806, it ended up getting all the way to number 14 on the list. I was number 17. If I'd have had the opportunity to buy the car, I would have bought the car. The number 14 person on the list bought the car. So in theory, he bought a car at MSRP, but there was a catch to it. You had to buy the maintenance package from them and a wheel and tire package, to me, which was still less than what I was willing to pay over MSRP. That's why I was willing to buy the car. But they wouldn't allow me to skip everybody else in line to buy the car. And that's how they ran their system. And I come to find out, talking to several other dealers and salesmen and so forth, even with cars that are being sold over MSRP, a lot of dealerships that have lists are actually doing that, but some of them are even offering the cars for sale for 5-10 grand over MSRP doing so. So keep that in mind. There have been a bunch of random dealerships like the ones in Montana that had Z06s that you could have reached out and bought one off the floor for MSRP. But again, they don't have a lot of them. And I've told people, if you actually do your homework and reach out to some of these remote areas, you may be able to get your hands on the Z06 for a little bit over MSRP and walk away with a car without ever being noticed. I actually reached out to a dealership in Idaho, and I came real close to getting an allocation for a Z06, but when the actual allotment came up, I will be honest, I wasn't ready to buy, or at least my financial situation wasn't ready to buy. But at the end of the day, I just threw a lot of information at you. And I really probably need to break this down to another video and be more specific about the topics. So let's just end it with this statement. The marketplace, the market value of the Z06 has not went down. What's actually happened to the market is the interest rates have went up, forcing the overall MSRP market adjustments to come down some. But typically, the same dollar amount is being spent for the Corvette Z06. So in essence, what people are willing to pay for the car has not changed. Can you find Z06s for MSRP out there in the market? The answer is always will be yes, but typically you will not find one anytime soon without some form of allocation, alignment, or being on somebody's list already. So ultimately, what's becoming the average over MSRP payment today is somewhere right around 15 to 25 grand. And I will say this to you. Before I shot this video, I looked at a Z06 a few weeks back, and it was on sale for $144,000. It was a 3LZ red Z06 with 7,000 miles on it. When I shot this video today, that same car had not sold, but the pricing has went up. The car is now on sale for $149,000. And the MSRP on the car is $139,000. So at no point was this car, even with 7,000 miles on it, being offered at MSRP for sale. And we're taking that shift where the car prices are slowly starting to go back up. So the chasing MSRP will become harder, and more cars are going to sell over MSRP. So I don't think that part of the market is over with. And like I told you before in multiple videos, I expect Z06s to sell over MSRP until well into 2026. So far I'm not wrong. But I think I've covered enough in this video. I'll probably address those topics I brought up a little bit more in depth in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. So let's do this right here. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver Edition community. As I stated before, this is an interactive community. If you reach out to me in the comments below or any one of my social media platforms, I will do my best to comment and make a video about the topic if it's interesting enough. We will get more in depth into these conversations that I started in this video, so stay tuned for that. So go ahead, hit that bell, hit that notification, so when the next video comes out and comes your way, you won't be behind. But as always, chase your dreams, build your visions. It's okay to be unique. Remember, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in these streets. Peace.